I don't have a little white thing under mine.
Okay, so we're live now. And interesting, it's not connected to my Instagram, Alexis. Oh, yeah, now it is. Perfect. Okay, everyone. So, hi there. My name is Hayley. I'm the founder of Bubbl. And I'm really excited to be joined today with a powerful duo in Dr. Stephanie Bridwell and Bruce Cryer, who are going to be teaming up to offer a Bubbl experience later this month. We've got a very exciting show today just because they come from two very, very powerful parts of it's very hard to describe what you guys do. Dr. Stephanie is a entrepreneur and energetic healer and a chiropractor, and Bruce Cryer is this former CEO of Heart Math, and he is going to teach us about heart math. And Bruce, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly how to explain what you do because I think you guys are best to explain this. So why don't you guys go first? Please do introductions if you can. Thank you.
Stephanie, you please start.
Okay, wonderful. Well, great to be here with everyone that's here live right now and later on the replays. Good to meet you, Hayley, and get to know Bubbl even more. I'm a doctor of chiropractic, but that's really like a very small thread of who I am and what I represent in the world. I started off as a kid just being very, very intuitive. And I realized later, like I was so intuitive of what being in sync or being in coherence feels like. And I was hungry for that as a kid everywhere in my life, whether it was a conversation with my mom, sitting with my grandma before school and having conversations with her. The thing that I'm always drawn to teasing out is always like the most coherent, most true expression from someone. And that thing has followed me through my life. I got a master's degree in psychology. I owned a wellness center in Boston where I did psychology work. And then I brought in yoga. I became a yoga teacher and taught yoga and had a wellness studio in Boston. But when I started to get connected through yoga to my spine, I started to realize that the spine is this coherence bridge.
You're making me sit up straighter when you said that.
Oh, good. It's working.
I'm sitting up straight now. I'm feeling my spine. Sorry.
Good. Well, hopefully, because most of my work really is about transmission. Teaching through transmission, through the words that I use are coded with frequency to transmit into the body and make a change in the moment. I don't really teach things that are very logical or use the thinking mind very much.
So it's like feeling. And sorry, because I don't think I was very good at describing what you do in energetic healing because I feel like I don't know enough about it, but I've heard about coherence. Excuse me, I've heard about coherence. And I've done meditation and I'm pretty much an amateur. And so that's kind of why I'm very curious. Bruce, do you want to maybe give us an intro as well? Because coherence is your middle name, I think. Is it not?
Yes, I'd be delighted to. And this program that Stephanie and I are doing is going to be a wonderful blend of her background in healing and energy work and somatic flow of life, along with her understanding of the spine and quantum worlds and that kind of thing. I, on the other hand, entertainer. I was a singer, dancer, actor on Broadway. Loved to perform, loved to care for an audience, found my interest in the concept of care got stronger than my desire to perform or to entertain. And I moved to California from New York City and fast forward to early 1990s when I was part of the original founding team of this organization called Heart Math, which probably some of your listeners have heard of. We were kind of first in the biohacking world, really, because we figured out that the heart and brain need to be synchronized. If they're not, good luck. And if they're not, it's because we're frustrated, we're stressed out, we're worried, and the actual information traveling between the two is out of sync. And so it's hard to make a good decision when you're frustrated or anxious or worried. Doesn't mean you never can, but you're liable to make a poor one, or you're going to say something you're going to really regret. And we began to discover that by fairly simple techniques, you could bring your heart into what we call a state of coherence. Now, the term coherence has gotten quite popular in the last 30 years. That's thanks to us. We're the ones that came across and said, you actually can create a state in your heart, which is coherent, meaning the waves of your heart and how you're feeling emotionally synchronize, and your breath, they all synchronize, and you feel really good. This is what's happening in your body when you're looking at a sunset and think, oh my God, or you're seeing a baby and oh my God, these kinds of things. It's a state that we named heart coherence. Turns out the more coherent you are in your heart, because the heart and brain are constantly talking to each other 24/7. If you're coherent here, that sends coherent energy, if you will, to the brain. And that's literal energy. That's not abstract. That's not woo. That's actual electromagnetic energy and rhythmic energy traveling to the brain. When these two systems align, now you're really thinking better. Now you're really able to express yourself. Your creativity is probably a lot higher. Your intuitive sense is probably a lot higher. You're able to listen better. All kinds of things improve, because instead of these two big systems that are kind of at cross purposes, your mind trying to say, this is how I'm going to run your life, and your heart saying, whoa, 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 but they're not in sync. So heart-brain coherence, which is a term now popularized by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Some of the listeners, I'm sure, have heard of him, or Greg Braden. He talks about it too. Is this idea when to really be at our best and really develop ourselves and become who we are possibly capable of being, if these two systems align or synchronized or coherent, and life becomes a whole lot better. So this is a principle that we're going to be sharing in the program on the 16th and 17th.
So Bruce, just a quick question on that. And I want to kind of delve a bit more into both of you and how you got to where you were, and we'll do kind of one and the other. But before I do, is that the same as flow state, or is flow state a function of coherence, out of interest?
Flow state would be a way, coherence would be a way to measure whether it's really flow state or not.
Got it. Okay.
So coherence is a way to measure the waves going on in your body, or the waves in the air, or the waves of a light or whatever. So it's a way to measure. Flow state is a description of what we believe to be it very likely is a pretty coherent state if you're feeling really in the flow.
Right.
But measuring the coherence is a refined way of looking at that.
Oh, very interesting. I only say that because I find my flow state when I'm skiing, and I usually get a lot of really good creative ideas for my business or whatever I'm doing when I'm actually skiing, which is a bit weird. You maybe should be thinking about nothing but skiing, but often I'm thinking about other things, and I find this creative spurt. But back to you guys. So we're going to talk about your workshop and your partnering and how you guys complement each other. I think you've got a third partner in a workshop that you're running in like less than 2 weeks time in a second. But I just want to go back to Dr. Stephanie for a second. Stephanie, if that's okay, I can call you that. Maybe you can share with us. I know that you are an entrepreneur. I know that you started from being a teenager, you've been an entrepreneur, and this, you've had, as you say, a couple of careers in your life, yoga teacher, chiropractor. Tell us kind of how you have come to the point where you are sort of now, what you've been working on lately that's kind of led to you to kind of come to this partnership with Bruce and Ernie to be able to deliver this workshop. Maybe you can give us a little bit more light on that.
Yes. So as I mentioned, I've actually started many businesses. I've been a multiple entrepreneur since I was 8. And even my business when I was 8 was very successful. And then I worked in corporate America as well. So after I opened my psychology studio, it was during the .com boom, and I lived in the heart of Boston, and there was just so much activity around like .com this, .com that. So I wanted to just be part of that energy because it was like such a big energy. So I ended up working in a corporate job doing corporate sales. So I also have this very big love for business, but the thing that I love about business is coherence, is when things are in sync. It's the energetic exchange between something that you're offering and something that's being received. And I think a lot of people don't really look at business in that way. A lot of times people are looking at what they want to give to someone, and they're like forcing it to someone, trying to force feed it, or to find some kind of strategy or some kind of tactic to give someone something. Or they're in it for themselves, and they're like, what am I going to get from this? What am I going to get from selling something to somebody? And I don't think that a lot of people think about it as like a relationship, and that it's an energetic exchange. And I think that's part of like inherently why in business I've been so successful in my whole life.
So
Oh, I want to just say one other thing, that I actually built a 7-figure business in San Francisco, and it was mainly built on very masculine strategies in terms of like, this is the product, these are the words I use, this is how I deliver it. And, but I felt when I got to the top of that, I felt really alone. And I felt really sad. I had a lot of sadness when I was there. And I realized like I was sitting on top of something, but it was hollow underneath. And that actually is the thing that led me, because I have such a huge academic background that sort of took me off of my intuition when I was young, and I started studying academics and got very logical. But the truth is, like, I've always been very intuitive, and I lost it when I built that big business. And that was the thing that I really had a hunger for, is to like close that gap between the logic and the intuitiveness. And so I sort of like took my business down almost to the studs. So at the same time studying the feminine and learning how to surrender and to let intuition lead, and to realize that that the thing that people actually want is not the mind. It's actually the whole energetic, the wholeness of something. They want to feel it in their body. They want to have a connection to the thing that they're buying. And that's also what we want as the feminine. We want to have a connection to the thing that we're bringing our energy to, because our life force is the most scarce resource that we have in the world. And then the feminine resource is not being utilized properly in the world. You know?
Can I just make a comment on that? Can I make just one comment? I find it interesting being in San Francisco, and you talk about feminine, you've talked about masculine, you've talked about kind of coherence, and you've talked about intuition versus cognitive, I think is what you're kind of saying. And as someone who, I mean, I am feminine, but I am creative. I did brand management and marketing at university, and sitting in San Francisco, and actually even now going out and fundraising, I mean, I feel like I'm building a brand. You talked about, in the same way that people talk about powerful brands, Apple, Virgin, people talk about these brands because people have an emotional reaction. So I think you're completely right. And sometimes I think, especially in this world of deep tech, and particularly what I'm surrounded with here in San Francisco, where you've got so many cognitive thinkers, you know, I do think that sometimes I particularly feel like a fish out of water, but I think it's interesting that, you know, the world is led, but then again, you think about it, like the companies who are really, really, really successful, they are like the Airbnbs of the world and Virgin, and they're the ones that have been able to get that emotion from their people. So I think what you're kind of saying is like it makes a lot of sense to me, the feminine and masculine. Bruce, so you're a masculine guy. Tell us what and you, when I met you, you told me about your amazing story. I mean, you danced on Broadway. So you're definitely sitting in the creative arts. You're an incredible guy, actually. So that's really cool. And you knew some new Mark Leisure and stuff from LA. But I was going to say, so tell us about what brought you. You were CEO of Heart Math. You guys invented it. Where did you go after Heart Math, and where did that take you to lead you to, you know, being back in, you know, I mean, obviously you came here and did Heart Math, didn't you? You did Broadway first. Is that right? Right. And you came here from New York. And I must admit, you don't really come across like a New Yorker. You kind of come across like a Californian.
I'm from Jersey. I know people.
Is that why? Okay. Yeah. Really interesting life. So sorry.
I've spent more than half my life in the Bay Area. So whatever vestiges of New Jersey and New York that I had, I love that area of the world. I find everybody charming and endearing. The ones that drive most people crazy. It's like, oh, you poor guy. I can help you. I can help you chill a little bit. You're just a little too intense. This is what I love about New Yorkers, is they actually extremely caring people. Yeah. There's a reason why 225 languages are spoken in New York City. You know, people want to come there. They've always wanted to come there, and like, yes, please come. You can thrive here. We'll look after you here. We'll look after you here. You know, all that kind of stuff.
There you go. It came back.
Yeah. I never actually spoke like that, but I can do the accent. But yeah. So just the quick backstory. I mean, I moved into wellness and holistic thinking from the Broadway career. not really designing an idea of a business that I wanted to start. I was more interested just in growing. I was in my mid-20s too. I wasn't like already well-developed career-wise. I had a 5-year career in show business. And so I was very drawn to that. And I found I had certain business skills within a year of starting being a proofreader for a publishing company. I was running it.
Wow.
So that was a bit of a jump. Yeah. And then that got me into a biotech company, which was more around nutritional supplements and marketing job. I became VP of marketing fairly quickly. So I had certain skills of speaking about things, educating people, inspiring people. And when I met the guy who would later found HeartMath, I got quite intrigued with what he had in mind, because he felt that we were in the West, not in the East or Africa or other cultures, but in the West, we had dumbed down the heart to just thinking it was a pump, a fantastical pump, but simply a pump. So be careful, because it'll get you in trouble. Don't bring it to work, right? And yet, on the one hand, don't bring it to work, but we tell our kids, play with your heart, sing with your heart, honey. Just go to your heart. You'll know the answer. We say that, but don't bring that thing to work. Like we're schizophrenic about it. Yep. So HeartMath said, we got to study this. We got to use Western science, because we will never create a new model of the heart if we just talk spiritual or just talk Eastern or Ayurvedic or Hindu or any of that stuff. So we have to do it in ways that the people running tech companies would respect, which is data and left brain kind of stuff. So that's what we started to do. And then the whole concept of coherence emerged, because we discovered that's really what was going on in the body. You could call it coherence, just like a regular light becomes a laser because the waves become incredibly focused and coherent. So now it can do something it couldn't do when it was a light bulb in your ceiling, if that makes sense as an analogy. And that's why we used that, was we realized the average person, the average day, as smart as we may be, as well skilled as we may be in our field, we're not operating our system well because we're worried. And you look at today, I just did a little video earlier today and said, in my many decades on planet Earth, this is the most chaotic it's ever been. I don't feel super chaotic at the moment personally, but I could feel worse tomorrow. But it is so chaotic. And the reason for the chaos to me is it's just the degree of uncertainty. We're grasping for certainty. Oh, the stock market went back up. Oh, we regained all that was lost. Oh, good. Oh, we can relax now. Well, good luck. That's not the total marker of fulfillment and success. So anyway, I've never lost the joy of talking about this concept of coherence. Been teaching it literally 34 years and practicing it for those as well. And so in 2011, I stepped down. I was CEO, and I stepped down because I had gone through some major health issues and needed to kind of heal for a while. And so that's what happened. And I went solo and started doing consulting, and found that I had a knack of recognizing inside companies where there was a lack of coherence, and also recognizing in leaders where there was something incoherent in their life, because I could see it in myself. And so I would help them one-on-one through mentoring or coaching or whatever. And then I met Ernie recently in the last 8 or 9 months. We were talking about doing a program together, kind of combining we only have about 100 years of business experience together. That's all. That's all. We're not up to 200 yet.
Tell us a bit about Ernie in a sec.
Well, Ernie's amazing. He has run biotech companies. He has been an organic farmer. He started the first organic rice company many years ago. He's like a Mr. Wizard. He just tinkers around with lasers and spectrum and grows crystals. I mean, he's got wild understandings of what we are as humans, which relate very closely to what I'd been studying for all these years with the HeartMath, something called the biofield. And the idea of the biofield is that we are a product of all the energies of nature, other people, and we're producing a field ourselves every moment we're alive, and how that field interacts with the world. And that's just what happens when we're just by breathing. I mean, a field is being created every single human being. What HeartMath figured out 30 plus years ago was when we're in a stressed out state of any kind, it doesn't matter what you label it, the field that's being created is a bit chaotic, because literally the rhythms of our heart are chaotic when we are stressed out, worried, anxious, angry, volatile, whatever stressful emotion you could name. That goes out from us and can be measured several feet away from the body with medical equipment.
And I might add, animals sense it. I might add. So totally. my cats they knew when the earthquake was going to happen 10 seconds before it did, because they left the room, the last earthquake we had here. And equally, when I'm stressed, they sense it. I totally know that they know I'm stressed, and they react differently. So yes, I think, and that is at the same field, like other things are sensing it.
Yeah,
the fields are everywhere, and that's kind of what's cool, is that the biofield really embraces all possible fields that exist. We're always walking in and out of each other's fields, cosmic fields, earthquake fields, the sun field, the earth. It's all around us. So we as Ernie and I were talking, we thought, well, we've got some cool knowledge that most business owners don't have.
Mm-hmm.
We've been studying, respectively. He got into studying coherence 20 years ago, in conjunction with the biofield. So we were working together, and then we meet Stephanie, and I was like, a mutual friend introduced Stephanie to me and wanted us each to meet because we have sort of similar ideas about life. As soon as I met Stephanie, it's like, Stephanie is what we need to do for this program that we want to do for women entrepreneurs, because she is one, but she has a marvelous blend, as you've just heard, of the corporate jobs, the sales jobs, understanding where you can be successful and still feel crummy. And so that's what we're really all about in this program, is to say there's some hardcore things you do need to know and do need to be following that are very 3D and very much about business essentials. But good luck if that's going to create your fulfillment. If you're not balanced, if you're not attuned to what you're feeling inside and putting out a caring energy to others, if you're only putting out a hectic, stressful energy, well, they're going to feel that.
Mm-hmm. So, Bruce, I want us to look at now the actual program. Thank you guys for giving us the context on that. Alexis, you can share the program. We've got it here on our screen on our Bubbl platform. So your workshop is called Heart Held, a women's immersion for money and meaning mastery. I do like money and meaning. That's pretty cool. I would like to master money and meaning. So maybe you could share a bit about like the title, and a bit about what we're going to learn when we come to your workshop.
Cool.
Steph, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Well, let's do it together. I'll start.
Sure.
I'll say that, we put a lot of attention on the coherence of the name and the subtitle. We really wanted it to be a force of attraction for the right thing. And Heart Held came because we thought about the feminine, and we thought about women, and we thought about like why a woman wants to be in business in the first place. And it isn't really the same things that masculine energy wants to be in business for. Feminine wants to be in business because of the meaning that it gives, because of the way she's going to be connecting with others, the way she's going to be touching others, the legacy that happens because she put her energy into something and then it continues and it like feeds and nourishes others. So we realized like, oh, women really want their business to be led by their body and the heart, and there's a warmth and a hearth to a woman's business. And then when women really do their thing, women get hijacked from that because of all that it takes to build a business, all the masculine, I'll say, qualities in terms of structure, systems, and logical mind and that type of stuff. It drains the heart from a woman. And sometimes she gets burned out and just gives up. And I've met so many women in my women retreats that I've held that have just given up on their businesses.
Really? That's sad. So there's a few facts there's a few bits of data that support this. One is that women, I'm guilty of it myself, and I catch myself when I do. Women undersell. Women are more truthful. Women are more, in general, I'm being generalized here. So women tend to be less bullish, and so and it's fact that men get paid more and men get more funding, and all of those things are factual. Is this going to teach women how to run and operate their business in what we'll call? Are you calling it a man's world, or is this going to help? Or is this going to? So how is this going to help me run my business in maybe the world we're in, and maybe you can share that a bit about that for us, because I must admit, I didn't make the world the way it is. I have to fit in. So how could this help me navigate that?
Well, first of all, I feel like a woman can develop the confidence to not fit in and to lead.
Mm-hmm.
you're doing that. Even though you feel like you're fitting in, there's little places where you probably feel like you have to fit in, but the truth is, like, you're bigger than that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I do find. I don't want to make this like a man-women thing, and I'm assuming that men could actually come to this workshop, by the way. I'm assuming that there's no reason that a man can't register, but I'm finding that the best part I'm doing for Bubbl is telling our story. And by the way, these live streams help us tell our story, because they're telling our story through, and when I say that our story, I mean
telling your story is very feminine.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like, I feel like the strongest thing I can do is tell the Bubbl story, which is, in a nutshell, the why of Bubbl was to evolve. So evolve self through learning, through things like your workshop, and connect, because both of those things are fundamental for human, fulfillment, apart from food and all the Maslow's things. So like, telling our story is, again, I think you're right, very feminine, and tell it authentically and tell it through the eyes of other people. So, this for me, these kinds of conversations are really cool, because to me, they show me that we've got so much to learn when we can connect with each other. And, I love the synergies that you, Bruce, and Ernie are going to build in this workshop. I think that's going to be really, really exciting to see how you guys can kind of like, play off each other.
I want to get to Bruce, but I want to like put one little thing in. Yeah. I explain the heart, but then the second part of this is the held. The held is actually all the tactics and the principles and the strategies and the structures and the business plans and all of these things that we're going to be helping these women master, so that they can actually hold the heart of their business. And I think Bruce can speak to that some more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a key concept. And I love the word heart held, which Stephanie came up with. And because it does talk about what you can feel. I mean, I am not a woman. I've never been in this position. And yet, as an entrepreneur, as a guy who left an organization that I built for 20 some years and left a whole support system and safety net, there were times when I wished I could be held.
Mm-hmm.
So the feeling of being held, I don't just mean being hugged either. Yes, there's that, but the being held, as in supported, as being nurtured. I remember some key times in my life when I was part of CEO roundtables, and over time, I really felt held. I really did. I felt a level of friendship and connection and camaraderie, and people kind of genuinely caring about what I was going through in my business as I genuinely cared about them. And I people I've known for 20 years that we're still very connected because of that feeling of we're here for each other, we're supported. And it didn't matter male or female in those dynamics. There was no sense of hierarchy at all. We were all peers. One guy was running Medicare for the Western United States. He had 40 million people reporting to him.
What?
I had a company of 50. I mean, we're not exactly the same scale.
People? How does that work? Like 40 million doctors, or
no? All the people who live in the Western United States who either qualify for Medicare or Medicaid or are served. But the point was, that's a level of responsibility which is massive. I had a little company of 50 or 60 people.
Right.
At the point we still felt like peers. And so that's the point. I think that we want to create that feeling. We've got a 1.5 days, and we felt like we could wait to figure out a whole community and maybe a mastermind and all kinds of things. On the other hand, people need help now. There's so much uncertainty now, and the need to connect. And we also wanted to do it locally, where people can connect again in person easily. And it's not just a Zoom thing where you never see each other again, most likely. So I think that's a lot of what I love about just the feeling of heart held. And we're trying to create not only a set of techniques that are strong in terms of the 3D reality, documentation and things that some people just getting started would not think of, or people that have a business for a while have kind of, oh, wow, I forgot. I'm not doing that anymore. What happened? I better get my act together. So we want to create that level of it, but especially through the deeper stuff.
So, Bruce, I think it's really interesting that you talked about the people, and the reason and you talked about heart held. Is it fair to say, and I think there's a lot of alignment with Bubbl, not to plug Bubbl, but going to plug it in line with you. So it's fair to say that you talk about the people, because actually the reason we made Bubbl is it's about the people. Notice that's first. the experience and then the stay, which in your case is the location, because we're not actually selling accommodation. Now, it's fair to say that you're going to be attracting some really amazing, interesting women through your networks, potentially through Bubbl's network too, to join this bubble. And I guess the intent, and we can facilitate, this gets facilitated through Bubbl, is that those women can connect through the workshop. They'll connect in real life and they'll connect afterwards probably. And you'll be like kind of forming communities with some of these like workshop players, and you'll be kind of like encouraging that. So that's when you go to a workshop, like what we found at Bubbl, why we do Bubbl, like when you connect with people, you can connect and make enduring connections. And in Bubbl, we facilitate that through chat. We facilitate that through our dashboard so that when people join the Bubbl, they're all inside the Bubbl and they can see each other. They can see each other's user profiles. They can connect with each other. They can sign up for activities, etc., and things like that. There's other things. But I think it's really powerful that like when you have this trip run on Bubbl, when you have this activity run on Bubbl, that your people can continue their relationship afterwards, and they do it in a uncluttered environment, which is Bubbl, as opposed to something like WhatsApp, which is actually extremely cluttered. And they can go to that Bubbl inside their user profile. They can go down into the Bubbl that they've been in, and they can literally find the people and they can chat with them, and they can, you know, kind of continue. And you guys can keep updating the Bubbl if you want. You can actually give them an update, tell them there's a new Bubbl coming up. I mean, there's many ways that you can kind of like manage that Bubbl and keep their Bubbl life going from the Bubbl. Yeah, I think it's going to be really great. What kind of women, what kind of companies would you say they're running? Are they running tech companies, or are they running like small businesses, or are they running like biohacking, like consultancy? What kind of women are already kind of interested?
I think it's women from all genres. And part of what we want to attract is women that want to network with each other. And so there could be somebody that is working in the tech world and somebody that maybe has a product, and we want to get them together, and maybe they create a joint venture together. Maybe there's some way that they network with each other. I think that's something that we really want to see, is that this is like a place where people can come in and grow roots together from. And learn from one another, and plant seeds together that they grow together. So
serendipity. We call that serendipity. It's our top value at Bubbl is serendipity. So yeah, it's fantastic. So a few bits of facts. So the event goes over, there's a Thursday night. Can we just quickly go through the agenda, and then we can ask questions and wrap up? So the agenda is, it starts on Friday night, not Thursday, sorry, the 16th, which is what, weekend after next? Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, 2 weeks time. So we've got plenty of time. We're going to be sending out a newsletter with some of the outtakes of this. And so there's like a kind of like a warm-up evening. Maybe you guys can tell us how it will work.
Sure, I'll jump in. So there's some pre work that happens. So as soon as somebody registers, we then reach out to them, because Ernie has developed a whole process, some questions that we want to understand before they actually come attend the immersion. And we're also giving everyone that attends a binder of all kinds of documents, templates, all kinds of things that are, some of which are very much about legal processes, business plans, fundraising, IP, trademark, all kinds of things like this that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily know about or wouldn't have easy access to, as well as other things that are more around the personal side, the stuff like stuff that Stephanie and I would be adding as well. So they're getting all that. But we're trying to customize their experience to some degree of the weekend. So they will get a questionnaire to fill out. Then Ernie will talk to them before they come. So we're kind of designing.
We'll post on the Bubbl. Sorry, we'll post it on the private Bubbl bulletin board link. FYI, sorry, Chris.
Okay.
Bubbl. Sorry.
Great. So that's a key part of the process. So we hope that people will register before Friday night. Because otherwise we want to understand things about them before they come, so that as we're talking and as we're sharing for the day and a half, it's very much bespoke. It's very much designed with them in mind, this particular group that's in mind. And I think it's going to be an interesting collection, because you're meeting you, Hayley, a month ago at that Conscious Investor group about human tech with Nicole Bradford. Thanks to meeting you, a whole new set of women are liable to know about us, who we might not have met just through our circles in Marin and other parts of the Bay Area. So we want it to be organic. We're not looking for a specific kind of woman entrepreneur or business owner. If you've owned your own business for 20 or 30 years, but just are feeling like, I need a refresh, things are changing fast, and I need to get some new inspiration. That would be a perfect person to attend, in addition to the ones maybe more like you're in your position where you're a founder of a cool.
Yeah, I'm not young, but I'm hungry, early and hungry. Can you tell us about the biofield scans? Because I'm just looking at the agenda. This is cool. Tell us what that is. The biofield scans.
Stephanie, why don't you say that part?
Okay. So Ernie, who's a scientist and who has a big relationship with the biofield, he has a special camera that studies biophoton, which is photons are basically the color, the light that comes off of of living organisms produce biophoton energy, and this light basically can measure it.
Amazing. Okay, so everyone will get a scan, and then what will they do with that scan?
And so when you have a really balanced biofield, it's coherent. And so that allows you in your business to be coherent in your business. And so we're going to take scans at the beginning and just see where people are at. And then at some later point, we intend to do another scan, whether it's in the workshop or beyond, just to see like how coherent is somebody's biofield with the strategies and solutions that we're giving them.
Amazing.
It's very cool, it's a simple technology in the sense that the infrared scanner literally just plugs into an iPhone. So you can see on the phone in real time, live, you can actually video the field. You wouldn't do the whole body. You can't do the whole body at one time. You can do the brain, you could do your palms, you could do parts of the body, but the brain is the most interesting to most people. And especially if you're coming and maybe you've been rushing and it's a Friday, which is what this will be, your brain's probably not at its very best. And that doesn't mean you're in danger of, not falling over, but it does mean you're probably not optimal. So you're going to see kind of yourself at maybe not the most optimal stage. And then, as we say, there'll be another scan later to see if by practicing the things happening during the program and just the sharing and the warmth that we're going to be creating, the vibe that we're going to be creating, that in itself should produce a change, for many people.
Yeah.
And then the main workshop is Saturday. So let's just kind of like, maybe not everything on there, but just like the highlights. So it's going to be a mix of business and energy. Interesting education about coherence, biofields.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of activities between, there's as I said, the 3D stuff on business and going through forms and very specific ideas geared to who's in the room. There'll be activities, breath work, meditation, movement. Stephanie's got some somatic things that we'll be doing. So it's not sitting and listening to experts speak, although you will be sitting and you will be listening to experts speak. Some of the experts are your fellow participants, not just the facilitators. But it'll be very active, very interactive, very experiential. We want people to feel different just from attending. Not that we've filled them with so many ideas and so much knowledge that, oh my God, where do I do with all this? We're not about the quantity. We're much more about, we need support in these challenging times. And we want people to walk away feeling like, I feel supported by the group. I feel supported by the facilitators. I feel supported by the content that I've received, the techniques, the activities I've gotten a chance to do. Wow, I feel supported now. I feel like I can face the next week and beyond with a little more resilience and confidence.
Yeah.
Amazing.
When I was studying my master's in science, one of the things that I studied was environments when you're learning new information. And I did a lot of research on that. And what I found was when you are in sync or when you're in a coherent state and you're learning new information, you learn it like at the level of your body and then you own that information. But I think a lot of times we try to like overfeed people with data and information, and then they just leave kind of exhausted and they don't really even remember half of it. And I worked on Tony Robbins' spine, and Tony one time said that people. Oh yeah,
dude, that's cool.
Yeah, and he said that people really just listen to the first. I think he said like 30 seconds was what people really digest, and then everything else is just over the top. And I thought, wow, what a shame when you have all this incredible information to share. How do you get someone to actually receive more of that than just 30 seconds? And so I think, the reason why I wanted to do this with these incredible humans, Ernie and Bruce, is that we all feel that way. We all know that the body is the place where we can digest and metabolize information and then turn it into something we own, and then move forward with that information as like real live boots to the ground, nuts and bolts learning, rather than like, oh, now I gotta read my notes later and try to remember everything. And that just sucks energy, literally, right?
Yeah.
I've done that many times, gone to a big seminar and wrote all these notes and then like beat myself up that I don't remember it and I'm not doing it. And I don't want that for anybody. I want our people to walk away feeling successful.
Amazing. Well, amazing. Well, we've run out of time, but I just wanted to thank you both for coming on. And Bruce, thank you for joining as well. I'm sorry we didn't like promote you in the live stream. I think we probably should have as well. I'm very excited to join the workshop. I'm in the middle of a fundraise. That's stressful because I feel like we need 5 Hayleys 24/7.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm really looking forward to taking some me time and investing in myself by coming along and under your beautiful tutorage and meeting all the other women there. And I hope that if there's any of the women who are on Bubbl or in Bubbl or thinking about doing Bubbl, or anyone in my network on LinkedIn, do think about coming to this one. It's going to be wonderful. Unfortunately, you have to get to Mill Valley. So if you're actually global, you have to fly in from Australia or somewhere. But in any case,
we're in San Anselmo.
Yes, and San Anselmo. It's not Marin. Did I say Mill Valley? I meant to say Marin. Yeah, it's going to be in San Anselmo at your Energy Flow. Like, where's it going to be held?
Yep, Energy Flow Studio. In San Anselmo.
Okay, and do we wear yoga gear or what? Because I think we're going to be doing some breathing. No?
Yeah, something you can feel comfortable in. It doesn't have to be yoga gear. Something you just feel like you can move your body in.
Okay. Important. Dress code's important.
Thank you.
Thank you again, guys. I'm so looking forward to having this on our platform and to where this goes and sharing this content and hoping that we get lots of really cool women to come. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Hayley. So good to meet you.
Thanks so much, Hayley. This is a treat. It's so fun to be a Bubbl. I never knew I wanted to be a Bubbl, but here we are.
Bubbles.
Bubbl. One of our other values, apart from serendipity, is fun. So we have 5 values. I'll just share them. We have fun. We have serendipity. We have respect, integrity, and inclusion. We have valued participation. That's all about you get out of it what you put into it. Everyone values what you contribute and you value what they contribute. So appreciation of everyone's contribution. And then infinite possibilities, which is like, where could this go from here? So you talked about people planting seeds. One of our values is that serendipity is you meet someone, and the infinite possibilities is where it could go and where you can go on Bubbl, by being on Bubbl and like this. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Bubbling with you guys.
Great. Awesome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you very
much.
much.
And I hope that Bubbl is a wild success and it just really catches on quickly and everyone finds out about it, because this is great.
Well, when I meet people like you and we keep telling our story and we keep sharing and getting feedback, I mean, that's the main thing. So yeah, things are going well. We're partnering with a lot of communities. We're partnering with events. And we're having some fantastic discussions about bringing this idea of social housing to events. That's kind of the core value proposition, and allowing people to create these kind of powerful bonding experiences. So
I love it.
Wonderful. Thanks, Hayley.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.